The stars looked the same everywhere in space, but Captain Tejo knew they were getting close to dangerous territory. He stood on the bridge of his ship, the sunrise's edge, watching the endless black space through the main window. His hands rested on the control panel as he checked their position one more time. "How much longer until we reach the trade station?" he asked his navigator. Jiwoo looked up from her screens, pushing a strand of dark hair behind her ear. "About 6 hours, Captain. We're making good time." She paused and frowned at her readings. "But we'll have to pass through Valkyrie space to get there." Tejo nodded. He had expected this. The Valkyrie Empire controlled several star systems along the fastest trade routes. Most human merchants tried to avoid their territory, but that meant longer trips and less profit. The Sunrise's Edge needed to make money, so they took the risks that other ships wouldn't. "Any word from other traders about Valkyrie activity?" Tejo asked. His communications officer, Minho, shook his head. "Nothing recent, sir. Last report was 3 weeks ago. A cargo ship said they paid a small tax and were allowed to pass." Tejo didn't like the word tax. When aliens used that word, it usually meant they were taking whatever they wanted from human ships. But what choice did they have? Human merchants were on their own out here. The big alien governments didn't care what happened to them. "Keep monitoring all frequencies," Tejo ordered. "I want to know if any Valkyrie ships are in the area." Down, in the engine room, Dae-sung was checking their systems. The Sunrise's Edge looked like an ordinary cargo ship from the outside, but Dae-sung knew better. Hidden beneath the normal ship parts were systems that most merchant vessels didn't have. Special engines that could give them extra speed if needed. Better shields than what showed on their registration papers, and other things that he wasn't supposed to talk about. He ran his hand along a panel that looked like part of the ship's normal equipment. To anyone else, it would seem like a standard power relay. But Dae-sung knew it connected to systems that could change everything about their ship in just a few minutes. Systems that he hoped they would never need to use. Everything looking good. "Down there?" came Tejo's voice over the intercom. "All normal, Captain," Dae-sung replied. "Engines running smooth. No problems to report." That was mostly true. The engines were running perfectly. It was the other systems that made him nervous. They were working fine, too, but using them would mean their peaceful trading mission was over. In the weapons room, Hyojin was doing her own checks. Officially, she was the ship's security officer. Her job was to make sure their cargo stayed safe and to handle any small problems with pirates or thieves. What the ship's papers didn't say was that she used to work for the Terran Defense Force. She had training that went far beyond what a normal security officer needed. She looked at the ship's official weapons. 2 small laser cannons that might scare off a single pirate ship. Basic shields that could stop small attacks. Nothing that would worry a real military force. But like Dae-sung's engines, there were other things hidden in her weapons room. Things that could do much more than scare off pirates. Hyojin touched a section of the wall that looked like all the others. Behind it were weapons that could destroy ships 10 times their size. But those weapons came with orders that she hoped she would never receive. "Hyojin, report to the bridge," came Tejo's voice. She made her way up to where the captain was waiting. Jiwoo was pointing at her screens with a worried expression. "We've got company," Jiwoo said. 3 ships, coming in fast. They're big ones." Tejo studied the readings. "Valkyrie?" "Yes, sir. War cruisers by the look of them. They're moving to intercept us." Hyojin felt her muscles tense. War cruisers meant serious trouble. Each one was 3 times the size of the Sunrise's Edge and carried enough weapons to destroy a small fleet. "Options?" Tejo asked. "We could try to run," Jiwoo said. But they're faster than us. At least, faster than we're supposed to be. Taeho understood. They could use their hidden speed systems to outrun the Velkari ships, but that would blow their cover. Everyone would know they weren't really just a merchant vessel. We could fight, Hyojin said quietly. 3 war cruisers against 1 cargo ship? Minho shook his head. That would be suicide. If only he knew, Hyojin thought. But she said nothing. Her orders were clear. Maintain the cover story unless there was no other choice. We follow standard procedure, Taeho decided. We're peaceful merchants. We comply with their requests and hope they let us pass. The Velkari ships were close now. They were huge, dark vessels covered in weapon ports and armor plating. Next to them, the Sunrise's edge looked like a toy. Incoming transmission, Minho announced. Put it on screen, Taeho ordered. The main display showed a Velkari commander. He had the typical appearance of his species, tall with gray skin and cold yellow eyes. His uniform was covered in medals and symbols of rank. Human vessel, the Velkari said, his voice harsh and demanding. You will stop your engines and prepare to be boarded. You are entering Velkari space without proper authorization. Tai-Ho stepped forward. This is Captain Taeho of the merchant ship Sunrise's Edge. We have valid trading permits and are following established shipping routes. We mean no trouble. The Velkari commander laughed, but it wasn't a pleasant sound. Trouble? You pathetic humans couldn't cause trouble if you tried. Your permits mean nothing here. This is Velkari space, and you will pay the appropriate taxes. What taxes? Taeho asked, though he already knew the answer. Half your cargo and all your credits, the commander said. Consider it payment for safe passage through our territory. Hyojin's hand moved toward her weapon, but Taeho caught her eye and shook his head slightly. Not yet. That seems excessive, Taeho said carefully. Perhaps we could arrange something more reasonable? The Velkari commander's expression turned dangerous. You dare to negotiate with me? You are in no position to make demands, human. Your weak species exists only because we allow it. Submit. Now, or we will take everything and leave your bodies floating in space. The bridge crew remained silent. Taeho could feel their anger, but he also saw their discipline. They were all trained for this situation, even if they didn't like it. We will comply, Taeho said finally. The Velkari commander smiled. Wise choice. My soldiers will board your ship shortly. Do not resist, and you may live to trade another day. The transmission ended. Taeho turned to his crew. You heard him. Prepare for boarding. Hide anything valuable. Act like scared merchants. Sir, Hyojin said quietly. We don't have to take this. Taeho looked at her for a long moment. Yes, we do. For now. 20 minutes later, Velkari soldiers in heavy armor were walking through their ship, taking whatever they wanted. They laughed at the human crew and made jokes about how weak and cowardly they were. They took half the cargo, just as their commander had demanded. They also took their emergency food supplies and most of their spare parts. Your species disgusts me, one of the soldiers told Taeho. No wonder the galaxy treats you like pets. Taeho said nothing. He watched as his crew endured the insults and theft with calm professionalism. They played their parts perfectly. When the Velkari finally left, the bridge was quiet for a long time. Course to the trading station? Jiwoo asked softly. Set course, Taeho confirmed. And Jiwoo? Start monitoring all communication channels. I want to know what they're saying about us. As the Sunrise's Edge continued on its way, none of the crew spoke about what had just happened, but they all knew that word would spread quickly through the galaxy. The Velkari had just broadcast their humiliation of a human ship across multiple frequencies. Other aliens would hear about it, and some of them would decide that humans made easy targets. Tejo sat in his captain's chair and watched the stars. Soon, he thought, soon they would learn the truth about humanity. But not yet. The news spread faster than Tejo had expected. Within hours of their encounter with the Velkari ships, communication networks across 3 star systems were buzzing with the story. A human merchant vessel had been forced to surrender half its cargo without firing a single shot. The Velkari commander had made sure everyone heard about it. Jiwoo monitored the transmissions from her station on the bridge. "Captain, you need to hear this," she said, her voice tight with anger. The main screen showed intercepted communications from various alien ships and stations. The Velkari commander who had robbed them was speaking to what looked like a military briefing room. "The humans proved even weaker than we expected," the commander was saying. "Their captain begged like a child. Their crew cowered in fear. I have sent the full recording to our allies. Let all see how pathetic these creatures are." Other voices joined the conversation. Tejo recognized species from across the galaxy, Thrakari pirates, Zolani military officers, even representatives from supposedly neutral trading organizations. "This confirms our intelligence reports," said a Thrakari voice. "Human ships carry valuable cargo, but have no real defenses. Their governments are too far away to protect them. My fleet has been looking for easy targets," added another alien. "Perhaps it is time to visit these human trading routes." Minho turned to look at Tejo. "Sir, they're treating us like prey." Tejo nodded grimly. This was exactly what Earth Command had feared would happen. The human government had spent years building peaceful relationships with alien species. They had shown restraint, offered fair trades, and avoided conflicts. But some aliens saw this as weakness instead of wisdom. "Any response from Earth or the colonies?" Tejo asked. "Nothing official," Minho replied, "but I'm picking up increased military chatter on encrypted channels. Something's happening. Down in engineering, Dae-sung was working on systems that officially didn't exist." His fingers moved over hidden control panels, checking readiness levels and power connections. Everything was functioning perfectly, waiting for the order to activate. He thought about the Velkari soldiers who had searched his engine room. They had walked right past weapons systems that could have vaporized their ships. They had stood next to shield generators powerful enough to stop a planetary bombardment. They had no idea how close they had come to death. But the orders were clear. Maintain the cover. Gather intelligence. Let them think humans were weak. The plan was working, even if it felt wrong to let aliens steal from them. Hae-jin was in the cargo bay, checking what the Velkari had left behind. They had taken the most valuable items, but they had also made a mistake. In their greed, they had missed several containers marked as machine parts. Those containers held sensor equipment that was now recording every detail about Velkari's ship. Movements, weapon systems, and military communications. Every insult, every theft, every threat was being documented. The information would go back to Earth Command, where strategists were building detailed profiles of every alien species that chose to see humans as victims. "We're getting another transmission," Minho announced over the intercom. "This one's aimed directly at us." Tejo returned to the bridge. On the screen was a different alien, this one from the Thrakari species. They looked like large insects, with multiple arms and compound eyes. This one wore the insignia of a crime syndicate. "Human captain," the Thrakari said, its voice translated by their computers. "I am clicking Deathbringer of the Seventh Claw, Syndicate. We have heard of your recent troubles." Tejo remained silent, waiting. We offer protection, the alien continued. For a small fee, our ships will escort yours through dangerous territory. Only 50% of your cargo per trip. Much better than total loss, yes? That's very generous, Tejo replied, keeping his voice neutral. But we already have arrangements with local authorities. The Thrakari made a sound that might have been laughter. Local authorities? You mean those who just robbed you? Human. You do not understand how this galaxy works. The strong take from the weak. That is natural law. We offer to make you strong through alliance. I'll consider your offer, Tejo said. Do not consider too long, the Thrakari warned. Word travels fast. Soon, every predator in 3 sectors will know that human ships carry good cargo and weak weapons. Better to choose your predator than be eaten by all of them. The transmission ended. The bridge was quiet for several moments. They're right about one thing, Jiwoo said finally. Word is traveling fast. I'm seeing increased ship movements toward human trade routes. Looks like at least 6 different groups are repositioning to intercept merchant vessels. Hyejin came onto the bridge carrying a data pad. I've been analyzing the intelligence we gathered from the Velkari boarding. Their ship scans show they have standard military equipment but nothing special. Their shields are strong but not advanced. Their weapons are powerful but slow to target. Why does that matter? Minho asked. Hyejin smiled, but it wasn't a pleasant expression. Because when the time comes, we'll know exactly how to kill them. When the time comes? Jiwoo repeated. Tejo looked at each of his crew members. How long have we been working together? 3 years, sir, Dae-sung answered from the engineering station. And in all that time, have any of you actually believed we were just a merchant crew? The question hung in the air. Finally, Minho spoke up. We all knew there was more to this mission, Captain. The equipment we carry, the places we go, the intelligence we gather. But we follow orders. Good, Tejo said, because our orders are about to change. He activated a secure communication channel that appeared on his personal screen only. After entering several codes, the image of Admiral Sun-Mi appeared. She was in her office on Earth, thousands of light years away, but the quantum communications made it seem like she was in the next room. Captain, the Admiral said without preamble, we've been monitoring the situation. How bad is it? Bad, sir. The Velkari broadcast our encounter across multiple networks. Every pirate and opportunist in the sector now sees human ships as easy targets. We're expecting multiple attacks within the next few days. Admiral Sun-Mi nodded. That matches our intelligence. We've lost contact with 3 merchant vessels in the last 12 hours. 2 more have reported forced boardings. The situation is escalating beyond acceptable levels. Orders, sir? Continue your mission for now, the Admiral said. But be ready. The President is meeting with the Defense Council tomorrow. If attacks on civilian ships continue, we may authorize a change in rules of engagement. Understood, sir. Captain, the Admiral added, her voice softer. I know this is difficult. Watching your people be humiliated, your ships robbed. But remember why we're doing this. We need to know who our real enemies are before we show them what we're capable of. Yes. Sir, the crew understands. Good. Sun-Mi out. The transmission ended. Tejo turned to face his crew again. You heard the Admiral. We maintain our cover for now, but start running system checks on everything. When the orders come, we need to be ready to move fast. Sir, Hyejin said, what if we're attacked again before those orders come? Tejo considered the question. We follow the same procedure. We submit. We document everything. We let them think they're winning. And if they try to kill us? Then, Tejo said quietly, We remind them why it's a bad idea to mess with a human vessel. Over the next few hours, reports continued to come in. Human ships were being attacked across multiple systems. Some were robbed and released, others simply disappeared. The Galactic Council, which was supposed to maintain peace between species, issued a statement calling the attacks regrettable but internal matters that didn't require intervention. That statement would be remembered later, when the Council tried to claim they had always supported human rights. As the sunrise's edge continued toward their destination, Tejo couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. The galaxy had decided that humans were weak. They were about to learn how wrong they were. But first, humanity needed to know exactly who their enemies were. And that meant enduring a little more humiliation, a little more theft, a little more contempt from species that thought they were superior. Soon, though, soon the lesson would begin. The attacks came exactly as predicted. The first happened only 18 hours after their encounter with the Velkari ships. 3 small pirate vessels surrounded the sunrise's edge as they approached a refueling station. The pirates were from different species, but they all had the same hungry look in their eyes. "Human ship," came the transmission from the lead pirate vessel. "We know you just paid taxes to the Velkari, but this is our territory. You pay us too, or we take everything." Tejo went through the same routine again. He protested weakly, negotiated briefly, and then surrendered a portion of their remaining cargo. The pirates laughed at how easy it was. They even made jokes about starting a business based on robbing human ships. "Tell your friends back on Earth," one pirate said before leaving. "That space belongs to those strong enough to take it. You humans should stick to your own little worlds." The second attack came a day later. This time, it was a group of military deserters flying stolen warships. They demanded credits instead of cargo, claiming they needed fuel money. When Tejo explained they had already lost most of their funds to previous attacks, the deserters became angry. "Then you should have planned better," their leader snarled. "Stupid humans coming into space without enough money to pay proper respect to your betters. They took the ship's emergency funds and left them with barely enough credits to buy fuel for the journey home." The third attack was different. A single large vessel approached them, displaying the markings of an official police force from the Draconi Republic. Tejo had hoped this might be legitimate law enforcement, but his hopes died quickly. "Human vessel," the Draconi captain announced. "You are suspected of carrying contraband. Prepare for full inspection." The inspection took 6 hours. The Draconi officers went through every container, every storage compartment, every personal belonging of the crew. They found nothing illegal because there was nothing to find. But they claimed to discover suspicious substances in the ships. Medical supplies. "These antibiotics could be used to make illegal drugs," the Draconi captain declared. "We must confiscate them for analysis." They took the entire medical kit, leaving the crew without even basic first aid supplies. As a final insult, they also confiscated the ship's food recycling system, claiming it might contain biological contamination. "Lucky for you, we're feeling generous today," the captain said, as his officers finished loading stolen goods onto their ship. "Usually we arrest smugglers, but since you're just ignorant humans, we'll let you go with a warning." After they left, Hye-jin sat in the cargo bay looking at what remained of their supplies. The space that had once been full of trade goods was now mostly empty. Their food would last maybe a week. They had no medical supplies, and their fuel was running low. "This is getting ridiculous," she said when Tejo came to check on her. "I know," he replied, but we're gathering valuable intelligence. Every species that attacks us is revealing their true nature. When this is over, we'll know exactly who chose to prey on us." "When this is over," Hyojin repeated. "How much more can we take?" Before Taiho could answer, Minho's voice came over the intercom. "Captain, urgent message coming in. Multiple channels." They hurried to the bridge. On the main screen was a transmission being broadcast across the galaxy. The source was the Thrakari Syndicate, the same crime organization that had offered them protection earlier. "Attention all ships and stations," the Thrakari leader was saying. "The Seventh Claw Syndicate hereby declares human vessels to be free prey. Any ship, any crew, any organization may attack human traders without fear of retaliation. The humans have proven they cannot defend themselves. Their cargo is yours for the taking." The transmission continued with details about human trade routes, typical cargo manifests, and estimated ship values. It was a comprehensive guide to hunting human merchants. "They're treating us like animals," Jiwoo said, her voice shaking with anger. "It gets worse," Minho added. "I'm monitoring government communications from 12 different species. 5 of them are discussing official policies to regulate human shipping. They want to divide our trade routes between them like pieces of territory." Dae-sung looked up from his engineering station. "Sir, I'm reading massive ship movements throughout this sector. Looks like everyone wants to get in on the action while humans are seen as easy targets." Taeho studied the tactical display. There were at least 30 ships converging on known human trade routes. Some were pirates and criminals, but others belonged to legitimate governments and corporations. The attacks on human vessels were becoming an organized industry. "Any word from Earth Command?" he asked. "Encrypted message came in an hour ago," Minho replied. "Admiral Sunmi wants a secure conference in 20 minutes. When the time came, Admiral Sunmi's face appeared on Taiho's private screen. She looked tired and angry. "Captain, the situation is worse than we anticipated." She began without greeting. "In the last 72 hours, we've lost 8 merchant vessels. 37 crew members are confirmed dead. 12 ships have been robbed but released. The attacks are spreading to every human trade route in known space." "What about the colonies, sir? Are they getting their supply shipments?" 3 colonies have declared supply emergencies. Medical supplies, industrial equipment, even basic food shipments aren't getting through. We're having to use military escorts for critical supplies, but that's revealing our actual fleet strength to potential enemies. Taeho understood the problem. If humanity showed its true military power too early, other species might unite against them before Earth was ready. But if they waited too long, human civilians would suffer. "Orders, sir?" Admiral Sunmi was quiet for a moment. "The President met with the Defense Council this morning. The decision has been made. We're moving to Phase 2. Phase 2. Taeho felt a chill of anticipation. "When do we begin?" "Immediately. Your ship and 3 others have been selected for the demonstration. You'll receive detailed orders within the hour. Captain, the galaxy thinks humanity is weak. It's time to show them how wrong they are." "Understood, sir. My crew is ready." "I know they are. Make sure the lesson is one the galaxy won't forget." The transmission ended. Taeho sat alone for a moment, thinking about what was coming. For months, they had endured insults and theft. They had watched their species be treated like prey. They had documented every attack, every threat, every sign of contempt from alien species. Now it was time to show the galaxy what humans were really capable of. He activated the ship's internal communication system. All crew to the bridge immediately. We have new orders. When everyone had assembled, Tae-ho looked at each of them. I'm about to tell you something that will change everything. Our mission as merchant traders is officially over. Our real mission is about to begin. He paused, seeing the anticipation on their faces. For the past 3 years, this ship has been testing galaxy reactions to human presence. We've been gathering intelligence on potential enemies and allies. We've been documenting every species that chose to see us as victims rather than equals. And now? Hyejin asked. Tae-ho smiled, and for the first time in months, it was a genuine expression of happiness. Now we teach them why it was a mistake to mess with humanity's vessels. Daesung, begin activation of all hidden systems. Hyejin, prepare full weapons loadout. Ji-woo, plot a course to coordinates that will be transmitted shortly. Min-ho, prepare to broadcast a message to every alien, ship and station in 3 sectors. What message, sir? Min-ho asked. That they were warned, Tae-ho replied. Humanity tried diplomacy. We offered peaceful trade and cooperation. They chose to see us as prey instead. Now they get to learn what humans do to predators. The crew moved with sudden energy, their movements sharp and professional. The pretense of being helpless merchants was finally over. It was time to show the galaxy what the crew of the Sunrise's Edge really were, and what humanity really was. The neutral station called Haven's Rest sat in empty space between 3 different territorial boundaries. It was supposed to be a safe place where ships from any species could refuel and trade without fear of attack. As the Sunrise's Edge approached, the station, Tae-ho wondered how much longer such neutral zones would exist. The station was busy with ships from dozens of different species. Most of them looked at the human vessel with either contempt or hunger. Word had spread throughout the galaxy that human ships were easy targets. Tae-ho could see alien crews pointing at his ship and talking among themselves. Docking Bay 7, Ji-woo announced as they received landing instructions. They're charging us triple the normal docking fee. Pay it, Tae-ho ordered. We won't be here long. As they settled into the docking bay, Min-ho received an encrypted transmission on a frequency that officially didn't exist. Captain, Admiral Sunmi is requesting immediate secure contact. Route it to my private quarters, Tae-ho said. Hyejin, you're with me. The rest of you, begin system preparations according to the new protocols. In his quarters, Tae-ho activated the quantum communicator. Admiral Sunmi appeared on the screen, but she wasn't alone. Behind her stood several other figures that Tae-ho recognized from intelligence briefings, the highest levels of Earth's military command. Captain, Admiral, Sunmi began, the situation has reached crisis level. In the last 24 hours, we've received distress calls from 7 human colonies. Food shipments aren't getting through, medical supplies are being stolen, industrial equipment needed for basic infrastructure is being taken by alien pirates. One of the other figures stepped forward, General Woo Jin, commander of Earth's Special Operations Forces. Captain, 3 colony worlds are facing potential starvation within weeks if supply lines aren't restored. The Mars Industrial Complex has shut down 2 production facilities because they can't get rare metals from the outer colonies. Our entire economic system is under attack. What about diplomatic solutions? Tae-ho asked. Admiral Sunmi's expression darkened. We approached the Galactic Council this morning. They refused to even discuss the matter. According to them, attacks on human shipping are internal trade disputes that don't require council intervention. Internal trade disputes? Haye Jin repeated, her voice sharp with anger. It gets worse, General Wu Jin continued. We have intelligence that several council member species are secretly funding the attacks. They're using pirate organizations to do what they can't do officially. Drive humanity out of profitable trade routes. Taeho felt a cold anger building inside him. They think we're too weak to fight back. That's exactly what they think, Admiral Sunmi confirmed. Our restraint has been interpreted as weakness. Our attempts at peaceful diplomacy have been seen as fear. Species that we tried to build relationships with are now treating us like prey animals. A new figure appeared on the screen. Someone Taeho had never seen before, but whose presence made everyone else stand straighter. This was clearly someone with ultimate authority. Captain, the figure said, I'm Director Moon Young of Special, Projects Division. What I'm about to tell you is classified at the highest levels. The Sunrise's Edge is not the only ship of its type. For the past 5 years, Earth has been building a fleet of vessels that appear to be civilian but are actually advanced military platforms. Taeho nodded. He had suspected as much. Your ship and 11 others like it have been positioned throughout known space, Director Moon Young continued. You've been gathering intelligence while maintaining civilian covers. The galaxy thinks humanity has only basic space military capabilities. They're about to learn how wrong they are. Orders, sir? Taeho asked. The President has authorized Operation Revelation, Admiral Sun Mi said. You will abandon your civilian cover and demonstrate humanity's true capabilities to the galaxy. Make them understand that attacking human vessels was the worst mistake they could have made. What are our rules of engagement? General Wu Jin answered. Total. Any alien ship or station that has attacked human vessels is a legitimate target. Any species that has encouraged or funded attacks on humans is to be considered hostile. Any organization that has refused to help human victims is to be treated as an enemy. Director Moon Young leaned forward. Captain, we need to be very clear about something. This isn't just about stopping attacks on merchant ships. This is about establishing humanity's position in the galactic community. For too long, other species have seen us as junior partners or potential victims. That ends now. We want them to respect us, not fear us, Taeho said. Respect and fear often go together in galactic politics, Admiral Sunmi replied. Right. Now they neither respect nor fear us. They see us as easy prey. We're going to show them what apex predators actually look like. The conference continued for another hour, with detailed discussions of targets, tactics, and political objectives. When it ended, Taeho sat alone with Hye Jin in his quarters. Are you ready for this? He asked her. Hye Jin was quiet for a moment. Captain, can I tell you something I've never told the others? Of course. Before I joined this crew, I spent 2 years with Terran Special Forces. My unit specialized in deep reconnaissance behind enemy lines. We were trained to infiltrate alien military installations and gather intelligence. Taeho looked surprised. That's not in your official file. It's not supposed to be. My last mission was on a Velkari military base. I spent 3 months embedded there, watching how they operated. Do you know what I learned? What? They're not as strong as they pretend to be. Their weapons are powerful but outdated. Their tactics rely on intimidation more than skill. They've never faced an enemy that could match their technology. Hye Jin's expression hardened. But we can more than match them. The weapon systems hidden on this ship are generations ahead of anything they have. What about the crew? Are they ready for what's coming? Sir, with respect, we've been ready for 3 years. Do you think any of us actually believed we were just merchant traders? Dae-sung is a former military engineer who helped design some of the most advanced starship systems ever built. Min-ho worked for military intelligence before joining this crew. Ji-woo has navigation training that includes tactical maneuvering and combat plotting. Tae-ho smiled. And I thought I was keeping secrets from you. We're all keeping secrets, Captain. The question is whether we're ready to stop keeping them. They returned to the bridge, where the rest of the crew was waiting. Everyone looked at Tae-ho expectantly. Crew of the Sunrise's Edge, he began formally. Our mission as civilian traders is officially terminated. Our new mission begins now. Min-ho, transmit our new authorization codes to Earth Command. Dae-sung, begin full activation of all concealed systems. Ji-woo, plot a course to the Kirin Nebula. Hye-jin, prepare all weapons for combat operations. Sir, Ji-woo asked, what's in the Kirin Nebula? Bait, Tae-ho replied. We're going to let it be known that a damaged human ship is hiding there with valuable cargo. Then we're going to see how many predators come hunting. And when they do? Dae-sung asked. Tae-ho's smile was not pleasant. Then we teach the galaxy a lesson they'll never forget. It's time to show them what happens when you mess with humanity's vessels. As the crew began their preparations, none of them felt any regret about abandoning their peaceful cover. They had tried diplomacy. They had offered friendship and fair trade. The galaxy had responded with theft, violence, and contempt. Now it was time for a different kind of response, the kind that would make sure no one ever made the mistake of seeing humans as prey again. The Kirin Nebula was perfect for what Tae-ho had in mind. The thick clouds of gas and cosmic dust would hide their ship from long-range sensors, while still allowing them to monitor approaching vessels. More importantly, it was known as a place where desperate ships went to hide from authorities. Position us near the center of the nebula, Tae-ho ordered Ji-woo. Make it look like we're trying to hide but doing a poor job of it. Yes, sir, Ji-woo replied, her fingers dancing over the navigation controls. Should I leave a sensor trail that makes us easy to follow? Perfect. We want them to think they've cornered a wounded animal. Min-ho began broadcasting fake distress signals on multiple frequencies. The messages told a story of a human merchant ship that had been attacked by pirates and was now hiding in the nebula with engine damage and valuable cargo still aboard. Distress call from merchant vessel Sunrise's Edge, Min-ho transmitted. We have suffered severe damage from pirate attack. Engines failing. Require immediate assistance. Will pay well for rescue and escort to safe port. The message was designed to attract exactly the wrong kind of attention. Instead of help, it would bring every predator in the sector who thought they could finish off an already weakened human ship. Meanwhile, Dae-sung was busy in the engine room with the most important work of all. For 3 years, the Sunrise's Edge had looked and acted like a simple cargo vessel. Now it was time to reveal what it really was. Beginning transformation sequence, he announced over the intercom. Hidden panels throughout the ship began to slide open. What had appeared to be ordinary cargo containers revealed themselves to be weapon systems. The ship's basic shields powered down and were replaced by military-grade defensive screens that could stop a planetary bombardment. The simple merchant engines went offline as fusion reactors designed for warships came online. Most dramatically, the ship's hull itself began to change. Armor plating that had been hidden beneath false panels deployed across the entire surface. Weapon ports opened along the sides and top of the vessel. Sensor arrays that could track a ship from 3-star systems away extended from concealed compartments. In 15 minutes, The harmless-looking cargo ship Sunrise's Edge had transformed into the warship Retribution's Edge, one of the most advanced military vessels ever built. Transformation complete, Daesung reported. All systems showing green. We are ready for combat operations. Jin was at her weapons station, bringing online systems that she had dreamed of using for 3 years. Quantum torpedoes that could punch through any known shield, phase cannons that could slice through armor like paper, electronic warfare systems that could take control of enemy ships from a distance, weapons fully operational, she reported. All targeting systems active. Electronic countermeasures ready. How long until we have visitors? Taeho asked. Jiwoo checked her sensors. I'm reading at least 8 ships changing course toward our position. Looks like our distress call was very popular. Species identification. Mixed group. I see Velkari. Ships, Thrakari vessels, some independent pirates, and what looks like a Zolani military patrol. Taeho nodded. Perfect. Representatives from all the major species that had been preying on human shipping. Any response from the wider galaxy? He asked Minho. Our distress call has been picked up and rebroadcast across multiple networks, Minho replied. Everyone knows there's a damaged human ship with valuable cargo hiding in the Kirin Nebula. I'm monitoring at least 20 different alien military and criminal organizations discussing whether to send ships. Good. When this is over, I want the entire galaxy to see what happens to those who hunt human vessels. The first ships arrived within 6 hours. 3 Velkari cruisers dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the nebula. Taeho recognized the energy signatures. These were the same ships that had robbed them just days before. Target confirmed, Hyojin reported. Lead ship matches the one commanded by the Velkari who humiliated us. Hold position, Taeho ordered. Let them all arrive before we begin the lesson. More ships appeared over the next 2 hours. Thrakari pirate vessels. Zolani military ships that were supposed to be maintaining law and order, but were actually planning to rob a defenseless human trader. Independent criminals from 6 different species. Final count, Jiwoo announced. 12 enemy vessels. They formed a loose circle around our position, probably planning to prevent any escape. Taeho studied the tactical display. It was exactly what he had hoped for. A perfect cross-section of the species and organizations that had decided human. Ships were easy prey. Minho, are you recording everything? Yes, sir. Full sensor recordings, all communications, complete tactical analysis. Everything is being transmitted in real time to Earth Command and stored in multiple backup systems. Excellent. When this is over, the galaxy will have a complete record of what happened here. The alien ships began moving toward their position, confident that they were approaching a helpless victim. Their communications were arrogant and casual, already discussing how to divide the cargo and whether to keep the human crew as slaves. Unknown human vessel, came a transmission from the lead Velkari ship. This is Commander Vextal of the Velkari Empire. You will surrender immediately and prepare to be boarded. Resistance is futile. Taeho smiled at hearing the voice of the alien who had humiliated his crew. Minho, open a channel to all ships in the area. Make sure this is broadcast on every frequency in the sector. Channel open, sir. Broadcasting to all ships and any listening stations within 10 light years. Taeho stood and faced the main screen. When he spoke, his voice was calm but carried, an edge of steel that none of the aliens had heard before. Attention all vessels currently surrounding this position. I am Captain Taeho of the Terran Defense Force vessel Retribution's Edge. You are here because you believe you are hunting a helpless human merchant ship. You are here because you think humans are weak prey that you can rob and murder without consequence. He paused, letting his words sink in. You were warned. Humanity offered peaceful trade and cooperation to all species. We extended friendship to those who would accept it. We showed restraint when we were attacked. We tried diplomacy when we were robbed. We sought justice through proper channels. When our people were murdered, the alien ships had stopped moving, apparently confused by the human captain's tone and words. But you mistook our restraint for weakness. You confused our desire for peace with inability to wage war. You thought our merchant vessels were defenseless because we chose not to reveal our true capabilities. Teho's voice became harder. You were wrong. Humanity is not weak. We are not defenseless. And we are not prey. We are apex predators who chose to be peaceful. That choice has now been revoked. Daesung, drop the illusion, Teho ordered. Throughout the nebula, every sensor system on every alien ship suddenly detected the impossible. The harmless human cargo ship they had come to rob was gone. In its place was a warship unlike anything they had ever seen. Hyejin, target the lead Velkari vessel. Show them what human weapons can do. Target locked, Hyejin replied, her voice filled with satisfaction. Firing quantum torpedo. The weapon that struck Commander Vextal's ship was not like anything the Velkari had encountered before. It passed through their shields as if they didn't exist and tore through their armor like tissue paper. The massive war cruiser that had seemed so powerful just moments before was split in half by a single shot. That, Teho announced to the remaining alien ships, was a warning shot. You have 30 seconds to surrender or be destroyed. The response was immediate panic. Some ships tried to flee. Others opened fire with everything they had. A few attempted to surrender, begging for mercy. Teho showed them exactly the same mercy they had shown to human civilians. None. The battle lasted exactly 17 minutes. When it was over, 12 alien warships had been reduced to floating debris and expanding clouds of superheated gas. The Retribution's edge hadn't received so much as a scratch on its hull. The first ship to die after Commander Vextal's vessel was a Thrakari pirate cruiser that tried to run. Hyejin targeted its engines with phase cannons that cut through the ship's propulsion systems like a hot knife through ice. The pirate ship tumbled helplessly as its crew realized they weren't going anywhere. "Please," came a desperate transmission from the Thrakari captain. "We surrender! Don't kill us!" "Did you show mercy to the crew of the human freighter you attacked last week?" Teho asked calmly. "That was business. Just business." "So is this," Teho replied, and nodded to Hyejin. The quantum torpedo that hit the pirate ship vaporized it instantly. 2 Zolani military vessels tried to coordinate their attack, believing their advanced targeting systems could overwhelm the human ship with concentrated fire. They learned too late that human electronic warfare capabilities were decades ahead of anything they possessed. Minho took control of their weapon systems from his station on the bridge. "I'm redirecting their fire," he announced with grim satisfaction. "Their own torpedoes are now targeting each other." The 2 Zolani ships destroyed themselves with their own weapons while their crews screamed helplessly at their controls. The remaining ships tried different tactics. Some attempted to flee. Others begged for mercy. A few kept fighting with the desperate courage of the doomed. None of it mattered. The Retribution's edge picked them off one by one with the methodical precision of a master craftsman. "Target the ship trying to escape behind the gas cloud," Teho ordered. "That's a civilian freighter," Hyejin noted, checking her sensors. "No weapons. Check its cargo manifest and crew records." Hyejin's expression darkened as she read the data. "Cargo hold contains items stolen from human ships. Crew records show they've attacked at least 6 human vessels in the past month. No longer civilian, Taeho said. Destroy it. The freighter vanished in a ball of plasma. One ship managed to get a message out before being destroyed. It was a desperate transmission to anyone who would listen. The humans aren't what we thought. Their ships have weapons beyond anything. We've seen! They're not merchants, they're warriors! Stay away from human vessels! Stay away! The transmission cut off, as the ship that sent it was torn apart by phase cannon fire. When the last enemy vessel was destroyed, Taeho had Minho open channels to every listening station, ship, and planet within 50 light-years. "This is Captain Taeho of the Terran Defense Force," he announced. "You have just witnessed the fate of those who chose to prey upon human vessels. 12 ships came here expecting to rob and murder helpless human traders. Instead, they found the truth about humanity's capabilities." He paused, looking at the debris field that had once been a fleet of warships. "Let this be a lesson to every species in the galaxy. Humanity offered peace. You chose war. Humanity offered trade. You chose theft. Humanity offered friendship. You chose to see us as prey." Taeho's voice became harder, carrying a promise of retribution that sent chills through every alien who heard it. "We are not prey. We are predators who chose to be peaceful. That choice was a privilege you have now lost. Any ship that attacks a human vessel will be destroyed. Any organization that sponsors attacks on human civilians will be eliminated. Any government that harbors those who harm our people will face consequences beyond your comprehension." The transmission was being recorded and rebroadcast across hundreds of star systems. Millions of aliens were hearing humanity's message for the first time. "You were warned," Taeho continued. "Every act of aggression against human ships was documented. Every theft was recorded. Every insult was noted. Every crime against human civilians was added to a very long list. Payment for those crimes begins now." Jiwoo reported from her station. "Captain, I'm detecting massive ship movements throughout the sector. Looks like a lot of alien vessels are changing course away from human trade routes." "Good," Taeho replied. "But we're not done yet. Minho, transmit the coordinates of every ship and station that participated in attacks on human vessels. All of them." "Sir, that's over 300 targets across 20 star systems." "I know. Hyojin, plot an intercept course for the closest target. It's time to pay some house calls." But before they could move, new contacts appeared on their sensors. These weren't the ragtag pirates and opportunistic criminals they had just destroyed. These were military vessels from major galactic powers, and they were approaching fast. 15 ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel, Jiwoo announced. "Mixed fleet. I see Draconi Republic naval vessels, Arcturus Federation cruisers, and what looks like a Galactic Council peacekeeping force." "Think they're here to stop us?" Daesung asked over the intercom. "Let's find out," Taeho said. "Minho, open communications." Crow's face that appeared on their screen belonged to a Draconi admiral. His species looked somewhat like large reptiles, with scaled skin and cold yellow eyes. Right now, those eyes looked very worried. "Human vessel," the admiral began carefully. "I am Admiral Kessitar of the Draconi Republic Navy. We received reports of a battle in this area." "The battle is over," Taeho replied calmly. 12 ships that had been attacking human civilians have been destroyed. Justice has been served." "We need to discuss this situation," the admiral said. "Perhaps we can arrange a meeting to—" "No," Taeho interrupted. "The time for meetings was when human civilians were being murdered and your government did nothing. The time for discussion was when we brought evidence of attacks to the Galactic Council and were ignored." The admiral looked uncomfortable. "Captain, surely we can reach some kind of understanding." "We understand each other perfectly, Admiral. Your government allowed attacks on human ships because you thought we were too weak to respond. You were wrong. Now you're here because you're afraid of what humanity might do next." "We're here to prevent further violence," another voice said. This one belonged to an alien from the Galactic Council peacekeeping force. Tejo laughed, but it wasn't a pleasant sound. "Prevent violence? Where were you when human merchants were being robbed and killed? Where was the Galactic Council when we asked for protection for civilian ships?" "That was different," the council representative said weakly. "Yes, it was," Tejo agreed. "Then you thought humans were helpless. Now you know better." Hye-Jin spoke quietly from her weapons station. "Captain, I have targeting solutions on all 15 ships. Their shields are down and weapons are not powered." "Hold fire," Tejo ordered. Then to the aliens, "Admirals, you have a choice. You can return to your governments and explain that humanity is no longer accepting attacks on our civilians. Or you can try to stop us and learn what happened to the last group that threatened a human vessel." The alien commanders looked at each other nervously. They had all seen the recordings of the battle. They knew what human weapons could do. "What are your intentions?" Admiral Kessatar asked. "Justice," Tejo replied simply. "Every organization that attacked human ships will be held accountable. Every government that ignored our requests for protection will face consequences. Every species that chose to see humans as prey will learn why that was a mistake." "And if we try to stop you?" Tejo smiled, and every alien who saw that expression felt a chill of fear. "Then you'll discover why the galaxy should have left humanity alone." The news traveled faster than anyone expected. Within hours of the battle at Kirin Nebula, every major news network in the galaxy was broadcasting the same shocking story. A single human ship had destroyed 12 alien vessels without taking any damage. The recordings were played over and over, analyzed by military experts, and discussed by shocked alien populations. On Velkari Prime, the homeworld of the Empire that had started the cycle of attacks, military commanders gathered in emergency session. General Tor Khan, Supreme Commander of the Velkari Fleet, stared at the tactical analysis with growing horror. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Our intelligence reports said human ships were barely armed civilian vessels." "The reports were wrong, sir," his intelligence chief replied nervously. "This ship appears to have been disguised as a merchant vessel while actually being an advanced military platform. One ship destroyed Commander Vextal's entire squadron," another officer noted. "Their weapons technology is generations ahead of ours." General Torkan studied the recordings again. The human weapons had passed through Velkari shields like they weren't there. Their targeting systems had achieved impossible accuracy. Most disturbing of all, the human ship had shown no signs of strain or damage, despite facing 12 opponents. "Sir," his communications officer interrupted, "we're receiving priority transmissions from across the Empire. Every Velkari ship that encounters human vessels is requesting immediate withdrawal orders. Why?" "They're afraid, sir. Word is spreading that humans have been hiding their true military capabilities. Our captains don't want to be the next ones to face those weapons." On Thrakari space stations throughout the galaxy, crime syndicate leaders were having similar conversations. The news that one of their major operations had been completely destroyed was causing panic in criminal organizations everywhere. "The humans knew," Click of Deathbringer told his assembled lieutenants. "They let us attack their ships while they recorded everything. They were gathering evidence while we thought we were hunting prey." "What does this mean for our operations?" asked one of his subordinates. "It means," Click of Deathbringer said grimly, that every human ship we thought was defenseless might actually be a disguised warship. It means we've been attacking the most dangerous predators in the galaxy while thinking they were helpless. Prey. Similar scenes were playing out on worlds throughout known space. The Draconi Republic's military command was frantically reviewing their policies toward human shipping. The Zolani Federation was recalling all ships from human trade routes. Even neutral governments were reconsidering their relationships with humanity, but the most important reactions were happening on Earth and in the human colonies. Admiral Sun Mi stood in Earth's Strategic Command Center, watching reports flood in from across the galaxy. The demonstration at Kiran Nebula had worked better than anyone had hoped. Alien attacks on human ships had stopped completely within 6 hours of the battle. "Status report," she ordered. "All human trade routes are clear of hostile activity," reported her intelligence chief. "We're seeing massive alien ship movements away from areas with human presence. Several criminal organizations have issued orders for their members to avoid human vessels entirely." "What about government responses?" "Mixed. The Velkari Empire has gone silent. No official statements, but we're detecting emergency military meetings on their homeworld. The Thrakari Syndicate has declared human ships off-limits to all member organizations. 3 minor governments have sent diplomatic messages requesting meetings to discuss mutual cooperation." Admiral Sun Mi nodded with satisfaction. "And the colonies? Supply ships are getting through again. The medical emergency on Darwin Colony has been resolved. Industrial shipments to the mining worlds are back on schedule. For the first time in months, human civilians can travel space without fear." But the mission wasn't over. Captain Teho and the Retribution's Edge had more work to do. Over the next week, they visited 7 different star systems. Each one contained a target that had participated in attacks on human civilians. Pirate bases were destroyed. Criminal organizations were eliminated. Corrupt officials who had turned a blind eye to human suffering were removed from power. The pattern was always the same. The Retribution's Edge would appear in a system and broadcast a simple message. "This organization has committed crimes against human civilians. Surrender now for trial or be destroyed." Most chose to fight. All of them lost. The destruction of the Bloody Claw pirate base was broadcast live across the galaxy. The massive asteroid fortress had been considered impregnable, protected by shields that could stop a fleet and defended by hundreds of ships. The Retribution's Edge destroyed it with 3 shots. When the corrupted Scale Crime Syndicate tried to use civilian hostages as human shields, Minho hacked their systems and released all the prisoners before Hyejin destroyed their ships. The message was clear. There was no hiding from human justice. The most dramatic confrontation came when they reached the territory of Admiral Krestok, a Zolani military commander who had been officially sanctioning pirate attacks on human vessels in exchange for a share of the profits. "Human ship," Admiral Krestok transmitted. "You are in violation of Zolani territorial space. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." Admiral Teho replied calmly, "You are guilty of conspiracy to commit acts of piracy against human civilians. Surrender yourself for trial, and your fleet will be spared." "You dare threaten the Zolani Federation? I have 30 ships under my command." "I can see them," Teho said. 30 ships that will be destroyed if you don't surrender in the next 60 seconds. You're insane. No single ship can face an entire fleet. 50 seconds, Teho announced. Admiral Krestok cut the transmission and ordered his fleet to attack. His 30 ships opened fire simultaneously, filling space with enough energy to destroy a small moon. When the light faded, the Retribution's edge was still there, completely undamaged. Its shields had absorbed the entire attack without strain. "Our turn," Hyojin said, and began returning fire. The Zolani fleet lasted 4 minutes. News of the battle spread immediately throughout Zolani space. By the end of the day, Admiral Cressitok's superior officers had issued an official apology to the human government and promised full cooperation in tracking down other criminals who had attacked human ships. But perhaps the most important change wasn't in what alien governments were doing. It was in what they were saying. On news broadcasts throughout the galaxy, military experts and political commentators were having a new kind of discussion about humanity. "We completely misunderstood them," admitted a Draconi military analyst. "We saw their restraint and assumed it meant weakness. We interpreted their diplomatic approach as inability to fight. We were wrong about everything." "The question now," said a prominent galactic political commentator, "is how many other human ships are actually disguised military vessels? How long has humanity been preparing for this moment? And what else don't we know about their capabilities?" Velkari, professor of xenobiology, offered a chilling perspective. "Humans may be the first species we've encountered that chose to appear weak while actually being strong. Every other race displays their power to discourage enemies. Humans hid their power and let enemies reveal themselves. This suggests a level of strategic thinking that we've never seen before." Most telling was a broadcast from a neutral trading station where ships from many species gathered. "New policy effective immediately," the station commander announced. "All human vessels receive priority docking, reduced fees, and full security protection while in port. Any ship or individual that threatens or harasses human traders will be banned permanently and reported to Earth authorities." Within 2 weeks of the Kirin Nebula battle, the entire galaxy had changed its relationship with humanity. Human ships went from being seen as easy prey to being given respectful clearance by everyone they encountered. But Tae-ho knew the real. Test was still coming. Destroying pirates and criminals was one thing. The larger question was how the major galactic powers would respond to humanity's new position. They were about to find out. 3 months after the demonstration at Kirin Nebula, Captain Tae-ho stood on the bridge of what looked like the merchant vessel Sunrise's Edge. The ship had resumed its civilian appearance, but everyone in the galaxy now knew that looks could be deceiving when it came to human vessels. "Incoming transmission from Galactic Council headquarters," Minho announced. "They're requesting permission to dock." Tae-ho smiled. 6 months ago, the Galactic Council had refused to even discuss attacks on human ships. Now they were asking permission to approach a human vessel. How things had changed. "Grant them permission," he ordered, "but make sure they understand they're here at our invitation. Not the other way around." The council ship was a massive diplomatic vessel carrying representatives from 12 different species. As it approached, Tae-ho could see the nervousness of its crew through the viewport. They were no longer dealing with what they thought was a weak species begging for protection. Ambassador Veltar of the Arcturus Federation was the first to speak when the diplomatic channel opened. Her species looked like tall, elegant birds. But right now, she appeared anything but graceful. "Captain Tae-ho," she began carefully, "the Galactic Council wishes to formally apologize for its previous misunderstanding regarding attacks on human vessels." "Misunderstanding?" Tae-ho repeated. "Is that what you call ignoring evidence of systematic attacks on civilian ships?" "We acknowledge that our response was inadequate," another voice said. "This belonged to Councillor Zekron of the Hillyrian Commonwealth. The Council wishes to make amends. What kind of amends? Teho asked. Full reparations to all human civilians who suffered losses due to pirate attacks, Ambassador Veltar said quickly. Criminal prosecution of all individuals and organizations who participated in attacks on human ships, and formal recognition of humanity's right to defend its citizens by any means necessary. Teho nodded slowly. That's a start. What about the species and governments that funded or encouraged these attacks? The aliens looked uncomfortable. Several governments have already fallen, Councillor Zekron admitted. The Velkari Emperor was overthrown by his own military after they learned he had authorized attacks on human shipping. The Thrakari Syndicate leadership has been eliminated by their own subordinates who were afraid of human retaliation. And the others? The Zolani Federation has agreed to pay full reparations and has handed over all officials who were involved in the conspiracy. The Draconi Republic has signed a formal alliance treaty with Earth, offering protection for human ships in exchange for consideration should they face external threats? Teho understood. The Draconi had realized that having humanity as an enemy was far more dangerous than having them as an ally. What about the bigger picture? He asked. How has the galaxy's attitude toward humanity changed? Ambassador Veltar exchanged glances with the other representatives before answering. Captain, I'll be honest with you. 3 months ago, most species saw humans as junior partners at best, potential victims at worst. We thought you were barely capable of defending yourselves, let alone projecting power across interstellar distances. She paused, clearly struggling with what to say next. We were completely wrong. Your demonstration of capability has forced every government in the galaxy to reevaluate their assumptions about humanity. Many species that considered themselves major powers now realize they would be helpless against human military technology. Are you afraid of us? Teho asked directly. Yes, Councillor Zekran answered honestly. But we're also hopeful. Humanity could have used your revealed capabilities to conquer or dominate other species. Instead, you've used them only to protect your civilians and punish those who chose to prey upon them. This suggests that you still prefer cooperation to conquest. Teho nodded. We do. Humanity has no interest in ruling the galaxy. We want to trade, explore, and build relationships with species that share our values. But we will never again tolerate attacks on our people. What are humanity's terms for returning to normal diplomatic relations? Ambassador Veltar asked. Simple, Teho replied. Treat us as equals. Protect human civilians the same way you protect your own. And remember that peaceful intentions should never be mistaken for inability to fight. After the diplomatic meeting ended, Teho called his crew to the bridge. Ji-Woo, Dae-Sung, Hye-Jin, and Min-Ho had all been with him through the entire transformation. From hidden intelligence gathering to open demonstration of power, orders from Earth Command, he announced. We're being reassigned to the new Human Diplomatic Corps. Our mission is to continue operating under civilian cover while making sure the galaxy remembers the lessons they've learned. So we're going back to being merchants? Ji-Woo asked. In appearance, yes. But now, when we dock at alien stations, they offer us the best services instead of trying to cheat us. When we enter their space, they provide escort protection instead of demanding bribes. When they see our ship coming, they clear traffic lanes instead of setting up ambushes. Hye-Jin looked at her weapons console, where all the hidden systems were once again concealed. It feels strange, hiding our capabilities again. We're not hiding them, Teho corrected. Everyone knows what we're capable of. We're just choosing not to display our weapons unless necessary. There's a difference. Minho received a new transmission and looked surprised. Captain, we're getting a request for protection escort from an alien merchant convoy. They're asking if we would accompany them through a region where there have been pirate attacks. They want us to protect them? Dae-sung asked. Times have changed, Taeho said with satisfaction. 6 months ago, they saw us as prey. Now they see us as protectors. Over the following weeks, the crew of the Sunrise's Edge settled into their new role. They visited trading stations where alien merchants competed to offer them the best deals. They entered space controlled by governments that had once ignored human suffering and were now eager to demonstrate their friendship. Most importantly, they never encountered a single attempt to attack or rob a human vessel. The lesson had been learned. Across the galaxy, the story was told and retold. Humanity had offered peace and been answered with violence. They had shown restraint and been met with predation. They had sought justice through proper channels and been ignored. But when they finally revealed their true capabilities, the response had been swift and decisive. Every criminal organization that had preyed on human ships was destroyed. Every government that had turned a blind eye to human suffering faced consequences. Every species that had mistaken human peaceful intentions for weakness was forced to reconsider their assumptions. Status report from Earth Command, Minho announced as they approached their next destination. All human colonies are receiving full supply shipments. Trade routes are operating at maximum efficiency. Civilian casualties are down to 0. Mission accomplished. Taeho looked out at the stars and thought about how much had changed. Humanity had taken its place in the galactic community not as junior partners or potential victims, but as equals who commanded respect through demonstrated capability. Set course for the Andromeda Trade Hub, he ordered. I hear there are some new species making first contact with the galactic community. Let's make sure they understand humanity's position from the beginning. Yes, sir, Ji-woo replied. Should we expect any trouble? I doubt it, Taeho said. Word travels fast in space. By now, everyone knows the most important lesson about dealing with humanity. Which is? Hyejin asked. Taeho smiled as he looked out at the peaceful stars ahead of them. Don't mess with humanity's vessels. Because if you do, don't say you weren't warned. The end.